I think we got to talk about the crazy day that Friday was because I've had some time to sit back and think about it. The craziness that happened, if you're not aware. So on Friday, I was doing a normal stream of Death Stranding 2. Okay. And, we were actually the second stream. So this is a big one where you're going to have your big first boss fight. You're fighting the BTs, which are the enemies of the game. So we're getting more into the actual gameplay loop of what the game will be rather than just the deliveries, which is primarily what the first stream was. And as I'm playing, right as we're getting to the point where you're coming out of the safe room and you're going to prepare for what is probably going to be a big boss fight, I heard the most blood-curdling, crunching, cranking, cracking metal on glass on weird. I couldn't tell what it was. Crazy loud sound right here in my office, okay? And I'm like, what in the hell? At first, I had no idea what it was because it was so loud. It scared me. You'll see if you watch the videos from Friday, the end of that first video, which I think is part 4 of Death Stranding 2, you see all of a sudden I'm right here and all of a sudden I start looking over like, what the hell is that? Because I thought someone broke my window. That's how loud it was. It sounded like I thought someone had thrown something at my front window of my house and broke the glass. So here I am thinking, oh my God, thank God that I have these curtains in place. Because if I didn't, glass shards might have come through or something. Who even knows what's going on? So come to find out, it was my air conditioner. All right. Now, I have a lot more information on this now because during my day off, I unhooked it, investigated, and I have a replacement. But it was just so crazy because the sound was so loud. You would like, how could it be the air conditioner? So I turned off the air conditioner. All right. And then when I turned it back on, I just kept hearing it cracking like loud. I was like, oh my God. It sounded like the motor in the air conditioner was going to explode. So I turned it off and said, man, I guess for the rest of the day, I just got to tough it out. And I did. And it was warm. Like it was, I like to keep it a nice around 75 in here during the day when I'm streaming. But, with no air conditioner, the temperature spikes. So it went from 75 up to 78, up to 82 on that first stream. By the night stream of CVS2, Capcom versus SNK2 for Friday Night Fights, it was 87 degrees in here all night. So I was sweating it out, but I said, I'm going to end the week. I'm not going to cancel the streams. We're going to tough through it. I'm glad I did because, man, there was some really good stuff that happened on stream, which we'll talk about in a little bit. That Friday Night Fights was one of the best Friday Night Fights I've ever done in the history of me doing fighting games on Fridays. It actually was great high-level gameplay. So we'll chat about that in a minute here. Basically, I had no air conditioner all day. Now, here's the thing. That air conditioner, it's an indoor air conditioner. It's not one of the ones that you put in your window because this window is one of the side slider windows. You can't put a normal window air conditioner into the window here. It's just not possible. In fact, all of our windows are side sliders. We have no up-down windows in the house. So all the air conditioners have to be the freestanding, roll them around your house style, okay? So, 11 freaking years I've had that thing. And the funny part is some people are like, well, why don't you have central air? Because I live in Washington State, and it wasn't until recently that our climate changed to have hot summers. When I moved out here, I was told we're actually just starting to get hot summers. It didn't used to be like this. Like summertime here used to be like 70, 80 degrees tops, which is not that hot. If you're someone who doesn't use degrees Fahrenheit, I know there's a conversion there. You'd be like, oh, that sounds insanely hot. It's 70 to 80 degrees is typically warm weather with the sun out, around this time of year. But all of a sudden, when I moved out here 11 years ago, I was told, oh, now we're starting to get like a month of the year that's like 90 to 100 degrees, which is not like how it used to be. So what happened is when all these homes out here were built, they weren't built with central air. They were just built with a very basic vent system that does heat, but doesn't do air conditioning. So no one has air conditioning. I'm not kidding. No one has it. And when I first moved in 11 years ago, it was so hot that first summer for like a month. I had a guy come in and look at the system. And he said, yeah, basically the way these homes are designed out here, they're not set up for central air. You would have to redo the entire duct working in the house. Because he's like, right now, if we were to install a big central air conditioner for you out back, only your bottom floor would be cool. None of the air would get upstairs because this is not designed for it. They would have to rip everything out, put in new ductwork, and then finally it would work. And I mean, this was 11 years ago. The guy said that would probably cost you between $13,000 to $16,000. That was 11 years ago. Now, with the past decade of inflation, how much you want to bet it would be like $25,000 to $30,000, right? So who can afford that? I don't have $30,000 just sitting around for a rainy day. You know what I mean? So instead, I have to have these indoor air conditioners. So that first year, I bought one indoor air conditioner that I put in this room, and that served me for over a decade. Over the years, I've bought more. I have a large AC unit. We have that over in the bedroom, and I have a third AC unit that I have across the hall. So we have two here blowing cold air down the hallway with a system of fans. Yes, we have all these standing fans that blow the cold air down the hall. Then we have the big air conditioner on the other side blowing through into the hall into another big fan, and all of that blows the cool air downstairs. It actually works. It took a while to figure out this system, but it actually works nicely. And even on hot days now, downstairs is still pretty cool. So even though we don't have central air, we're all right. But this thing breaking like this scared the living crap out of me, of course, because of the noise. And, you know, I'll be honest, 11 years is a long time. That air conditioner already had problems. For example, sometimes it would vibrate so much, I had to put my heavy-ass Xbox One console, you know, the one I used to use for content, I put it back in its box, and I would put that giant heavy box on top of it to hold it in place so it wouldn't, like, vibrate around and shit. Okay? In addition, the thing was really smelly. Like, when I started turning it on this year, I was like, oh, God, why does it smell so bad? I mean, it's old. It's full of dust and dirt and pollen, and there's nothing you can do about that. How are you going to air clean it, right? Like, what am I going to do? Take it outside and blast it? I can't. It's too heavy. So you get to a point where it's like, you know, it's time to retire it. Probably once a decade is a good idea to retire an air conditioner and get a new one. So I did. But the one that I had to get, because I needed it right away. In fact, today, it's going to be in the 80s outside. Tomorrow and Tuesday, it's actually supposed to be hot, like summertime hot here. So I knew I needed a new air conditioner right away. And the only ones that could be delivered right away were not like tried and true American brands. Like, one of the air conditioners I have is a Honeywell, and the other one I have is a Black & Decker. All right? Those are American brands. I had to get a Chinese brand off of Amazon that I have no idea if I can trust it or not, to be frank. So we'll see. So far, it's nice, but it definitely works differently than my other one. Basically, here's how it works. You set it to a temperature you want. So I have it set it to 75 degrees. When it goes above 75, it turns on, it cools the room. But once it hits 75, it just turns right off completely. Like, the fan won't even stay on. And I was like, the fan won't stay on? No, it just either, when you have it on cooling mode, it's either on cooling the room or completely off. It doesn't stay on fan. Now I can just turn it on fan, but then there's no cold coming out of it. Turn it on fan, but then there's no cold coming out of it. So I guess it's different from the other one. I guess we'll see. I don't know. So far, it's nice. And by the way, I will say this. The old one was heavy as shit. All right. Even though it was supposed to be portable, it was always heavy as shit. I remember getting it into this office was a pain in the ass because it was so heavy trying to get it up the stairs and everything. And yesterday, getting it downstairs, wow. I have a hand cart and a whole bunch of bungee cables, thankfully, because if I didn't, that thing would have never gotten downstairs. It weighs a ton. So here I am, you know, with the handcart and bungee cables trying to get it down the stairs slowly without it losing control and careening down our staircase, which is a very long staircase. But I got it out. I got it down. So, oh, by the way, I found out what actually broke in it, okay? In reality, the motor didn't break. I thought it was the motor that had broken. No. So I guess this air conditioner, okay? has all these different components to it. Apparently, it has a whole bunch of plastic parts on the inside. Now, anyone who knows anything about science, stuff like that, chemicals, and you would say plastic on the inside of an air conditioning unit. Isn't plastic malleable? Isn't plastic like it can change with temperature? Yes, plastic can change with temperature. It can. If it gets too warm, it can melt or contort or change shape. If it gets too cold, it can get brittle and it can break. If it goes from hot to cold to hot to cold, it'll wear out. So why they put plastic components on the inside of an air conditioner, besides, oh, we're cheap and we want to save money, that's the only thing I can think of, okay? So what happened was there were plastic pieces on the inside that have, I guess, over 11 years finally wore out, and I guess a piece broke off and flew inside of the motor. The motor then kept moving and crunched it up, but then because those pieces were like fucked up, it was shooting them out, and it was hitting the other plastic, and the plastic was brittle, and then all that shit started falling into it. So every time I turned it on, it was just crunching plastic. Because when I started to move it and I took the duct off, because you have to have the whole air tube and everything on it to get it to work. When I took it off, all this broken plastic starts pouring out of it. Like, it looks like broken glass. It's not. It's plastic, but that's what I mean. It shouldn't be like that. That plastic had worn out over the years and completely lost its plasticity. Basically, it was very brittle and all this. It was discolored. Like, you could tell originally it was supposed to be white, and it was all like dark beige, like disgusting, So it was pretty gross. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm sure if I was like a technician, I could have opened it, ordered replacement plastic parts, installed them, and kept using that air conditioner. But like I said, I've been using it for 11 years. It smelled. It was disgusting. If the components are wearing out, what's the next thing to wear out, right? So I said, it's time to get rid of it. So we did. And the new air conditioner, in its actual defense, even though it's Chinese made, was light as shit. I was able to get that thing upstairs without a handcart or anything. Just the handles were in a good position where you could just lift and go up a couple stairs, and it was very easy to install. Actually was easier to install than my old one. This one now, when you put these filler into your window, basically what you have to do is there's plastic slats that you fill your window in, and then you close your window to the side of it and you tape it up. This had like its own way to secure it and lock it. Like, it actually had a locking mechanism so it stays in place. The other ones I have don't even have that. You have to tape it up, or there's like a little tab you can stick in the side and it's loose and it doesn't work well. This one actually had like this thing they had like designed to lock it into your window easily. So the installation wasn't a big deal. And like I said, it's working right now. The odd thing about it, though, is that it's turning on and off. So like right now it's off. So it's actually very quiet in the office. Then all of a sudden it'll hit like 76, and then it turns on for like 5 minutes. It just turned on now. And now I hear the fan, and now I hear it running. It's not loud by any means, and I'm happy about that. It actually is much quieter than my old air conditioner. My old air conditioner used to turn on and go, "Arr." This one doesn't vibrate, nor does it sound like that. And it's cooling. I feel it right now. It's cooling the office very nicely. So, crisis averted. Sucks that I had to drop like $400 out of nowhere to get this thing, but it is what it is. And the good news is the big air conditioner that I have isn't nearly as old. I think I want to say I bought that maybe like 3 to 4 years into living here. And the other one is only a few years old. So those should last a while still before I have to look to replace them. And it shouldn't be a big deal. And now we should be set for the season. Like, I don't have to worry about anything else going wrong. We should be nice and cool in here no matter what we're doing. And it won't make a lot of noise. Not that you heard it anyway, because now I have so many nice mic filters and all my equipment's been upgraded. You didn't hear it anyway, right? But it's good to know that now I have a good working piece of equipment, especially because, they're predicting later on, not this month coming up, but probably around August, it might be really hot. So we'll be ready for it. So it was a pretty crazy 48 hours for me. And I'm all sore because, of course, I was moving air conditioners around yesterday. My back is like really sore, but what can you do? So What I'd like to talk about is two things. Number one, because all of this happened on Friday, it happened as I was about to engage the first boss of Death Stranding 2.